please, please, please put it in writing. I had a client recently who approached me about a dispute that the client was having with their landlord, and long story short, there was a lot of stuff that was said that was never really put in writing, and some of this definitely led to some confusion between the parties, where sometimes it seemed like one was obligated to do something and the other thought that the other was obligated to do something, so there's a lot of mix-up potential there, and a lot of it had to do with stuff not being in writing. And the thing about a lot of contracts and leases and those sorts of things is if you want to change what's going on with a contract or with a lease, they typically ask you to put it in writing, or not they ask you, they require you to put it in writing. And there's a reason for that, because think about what written evidence is. It's just that, it's evidence, and it's very easy to call upon because you can look back at a text, at an email, at a written piece of paper. You can look at that as evidence of some terms that you agreed to. Compare that to verbal evidence, in quotes, where you're saying that you told someone something and that you agreed to something verbally, but there's no written record of it, so how do you actually prove it? Well, you don't really. And that's why a lot of contracts will require you to make any changes in writing rather than allowing you to make some verbal agreement on the side that would then change the contract, because again, you can't really prove that. And this protects both parties from one person saying that something is the case when it isn't, and another party from doing the same the other way around. And ultimately, what we're trying to avoid when we're drafting things in the first place, when we're putting contracts together, it's avoiding those disputes. And when you have it all in writing and you can point to it, you have this agreement clearly written out and you can see what each party agreed to, and you signed that contract and it shows you all the terms there to avoid those disputes about ambiguous or vague things in the future, because you can point to the written record. So if you and someone else are agreeing to something, it's best practice to put it in writing so that you know what each side is agreeing to and who has to do what are the obligations of both sides. And if you ever get to the point where maybe you've already signed a contract and during the term of this contract something comes up, maybe you need to alter something, you hop on a call or meet someone in person to talk about what you want changed, and maybe nothing actually gets written out of that meeting, well, one thing you can do to try and protect yourself at least is to send an email or a written record of what was talked about at that meeting. That way you at least have something you can point to. Maybe you give a recap of what was discussed and the key terms, or if you made any new agreements, ideally you get that other side to acknowledge that email or that summary as well. So at least you have some sort of written record there. That's a lot better than having nothing. But generally speaking, the more evidence you have in writing, the easier your time will be if you ever get into a dispute with the other side of that deal. And it should help to avoid a lot of confusion along the way. So do yourself a favor and put it in writing. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe for more, and until next time.